Welcome to Consulting Mastery, where we help B2B consultants master the business of consulting. I'm Carrie.
And I'm Ahmed. Join us as we explore the art of delivering outstanding client value, earning a higher income, and thriving in today's marketplace. I'm going to throw our team under the bus here a little bit. So, if you're listening, it's okay. We still love you, but we're going to make an example out of you. Before we get into it, if you're a B2B consultant, service provider, looking for help, want to grow your revenue, want to dial in your marketing positioning, go to 90daypipeline.com/talk. Learn more about what we do and how we can help. Want to talk about competition and specifically how you view your competition. Now, I will be the first to admit that I have in the past, maybe even the recent past, been disparaging about competition. And I think we had a whole podcast episode about this in terms of who's a competitor, who's an alternative, and that was from a different lens. What I want to talk about today is, what's your attitude towards your competitors? Do you think less of them? Do you judge them? Do you criticize them? Do you have an overall negative disposition towards them? And where this came up was on our morning meeting with our enrollment team. And our enrollment team obviously talks to prospective clients every single day. And through those conversations, some pseudo competitors or alternatives tend to come up. And there's one name that kept coming up, and this is a fairly new entrant into our market who is, purportedly doing something similar. Some people on our team don't love the style, don't love the approach, don't love the way things are being done, don't love the claims, don't love the etc. And there was a bit of a 5 to 7 minute, we don't like this and we don't like that, and this person's no good and we're better. And at the end of the conversation, I said, I was quiet for most of it. And at the end of the conversation, I said, I'm actually a big fan. I like what they're doing. I like their attitude. I like this. I like that. There's some things that I may be concerned about for them, but overall, kudos. And the thing that I get concerned about, and this is, I think this is just as relevant if you're a solo consultant or a solo founder as it is if you have a team. I think it's more complicated if you have a team, because you don't only have to worry about your own mindset, you got to worry about your team's mindset and how that affects the business. But I just think that there's very little utility in judging, attacking, and overall disparaging your competitors, even if you don't like the way that they do things. I don't know what you get out of that, apart from, potentially some bad karma and overall negative vibes. And I get that it's human nature. I'm just not sure it gets us anywhere. So that's my take. What do you think?
I could not agree with you more. And it's interesting because I think it does a couple of things. And the first is yes, you want to be aware of what the other potential solutions are, right? You want to understand what else is in the market. You want to be in a place where you understand and you're super clear on what it is that you can do for prospect A that someone else maybe can or can't. That I think is helpful. That I think is important. But putting really much more energy than that at all into worrying about what somebody else is doing, first, it can put you into a place of just having, a scarcity mindset, right? If you're trying to put somebody else down because you think that there's only, one pie and that everyone only gets their tiny little piece, then it may seem like you are, towing the company line and driving the message and, feeling good about what it is that you or your organization is doing. But in reality, the simple fact that you're comparing yourself to somebody else is, shifting your thinking to a place that is, I think, much less constructive.
Well, here's the proof that it's 100% scarcity thinking. If somebody else ran some other business outside of your industry and was not considered a quote unquote competitor, you wouldn't think twice about that. How many businesses are there in the world, right? Like, you wouldn't even entertain their existence beyond, your necessary interaction with them if you're a customer or something. Otherwise, whatever, let them run their business however they want. It's none of your business, not your concern. The only reason you care about your competitors is because you think they're going to take market share. You think they're going to take what's yours. You think that they're going to make it harder for you to grow. And if that's what you think, then that subconscious belief that you might not be aware of, but this is a consequence of it, is that there's not enough to go around.
Mm-hmm.
The market ain't big enough for the two of us, which is, unless you're IBM or Deloitte or Accenture, is ridiculous, because you are likely a very, very, very small, minute, and don't take offense to this because I'm applying these labels to our business, insignificant player. What economists call a micro firm. A micro firm is a firm that is small enough that they're not really going to make a dent in the market,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what you have here is, one micro firm, throwing shade on another micro firm, right? When really they're both insignificant in the grand scheme of things, and they would be better off minding their own business, literally.
Yes. Yeah, I do think, though, there is some utility in paying attention. And those are two different things in my mind, right? Paying attention to what's happening and knowing and being aware, and then attaching some kind of emotional weight to what you're seeing, right? Having feelings about it. Those are two different things. I do believe that there's opportunity to learn, right? Even if it's someone who's doing business in a way you don't like. And even if it's someone who, uses tactics that you're not thrilled about. Approaching that from a place of curiosity instead of immediately from a place of, attacking them or disparaging them or even dismissing them. Those are all emotional reactions, but thinking to yourself, that's interesting. That irks me. And also I wonder why, right? I wonder why they do it. I wonder what's behind it. And just, logging that into your mental inventory of things that you learn on a given day, that can be helpful, right? From a data collection perspective, from a purely objective understanding how people are out in the world doing business, whether that's in your market or in another market. To me, the danger comes when it becomes something emotional. And that's what's happening when you feel the need to, climb on top of them to show to yourself or to someone else that you are somehow better than.
Yeah, it's because you feel threatened, ultimately. I think you need to be aware of, and we may have talked about this in the other episode on competition. Go dig that up if you want a deeper dive. But I think you need to be aware of who your prospects are aware of. So certainly if your prospects are talking to you and they're talking to others and certain other names keep coming up, you should be aware of who else is out there talking to your customers and potentially competing with you for business, so that you can adequately and successfully differentiate yourself from them and help your prospect make the right decision. But there's two ways to do that. And I'm going to bring this down to a sales setting now, because this kind of attitude and mindset has real tangible consequences in a sales context. When a prospect says to you, well, I'm looking at this competitor, there's two ways you can respond to that. Call it the high road and the low road. The low road is, oh yeah, they're, the problem with them is this, and they do it this way, and we don't like that, and they're inferior in this way. And that might not be the language that you use, but you're going to basically crap on them. And in doing so, try to articulate to the prospect that, well, we're better by putting them down. And then there's the high road. And the high road is familiar with their work, and maybe that's a good fit for you. Here's where we really excel. And here's where, we think you'd be a good fit to work with us. And here's what we focus on in our system, our process, our methodology. Bring it back to, your talking points, like a good politician, right? Don't get roped into mudslinging, right? Bring it back to the things that you want to highlight in the conversation about your organization, your offer, and the value that you can create for the client. And put yourself in the client's shoes. Do you want to work with the organization that slings mud and is judgmental and criticizes their competition and attacks? Or do you want to work with the organization that actually has a lot of respect for other people that are doing similar work, but also knows where they stand out and where they differentiate and where they are stronger?
I would say it even goes a level deeper than that when it comes to making that connection with the human being that you're talking to. You disparaging someone else also reeks of being just a little bit desperate, right? I need to tell you how terrible they are so that you know how great I am. Personally, I'm going to have much more respect for somebody who says, you know what? They're great. They're great for this kind of problem, person, business, whatever it is. If that's what you need, they're maybe your fit, right? This is the thing that I'm great for, right? This is what my consultancy, my business, my organization, whatever you're framing, this is the place where I shine, we shine. This is where we create impact. And that is a very different conversation because it immediately builds trust, right? It builds significantly more trust than you kind of climbing all over somebody and pointing out everything you've ever disliked about them in a bid to grab onto a sale.
All roads lead back to positioning, don't they? Right. So chances are this competitor of yours does not target the exact same market as you do, with the exact same value proposition, with the exact same offer or results mechanism, as we call it. Chances are there's some really important differences, and you simply need to highlight what those differences are to your customer, to your client, to your prospect. So I'll make this real. The organization I'm referring to, and organization might be a big word, but the company I'm referring to competes with us in the LinkedIn lead generation space. But that's not the extent of what we do. We help with LinkedIn for a very specific audience that is highly paid, sought after, expensive B2B consultants and professional service firms and advisors, right? Not your low value, low ticket, commoditized offer, right? We work with a very specific audience. And so the conversation to have with our prospect is, listen, if you just want LinkedIn, advice or a LinkedIn strategy for any business, which may have you executing some tactics you're not comfortable with as a sought after, high end elite B2B consultant, then this other organization, they're tactically probably just fine. But if you want to do it a certain way because this is who you are, this is your identity, these are the outcomes you're looking for, yada, 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 well, we have a different approach. So it's not that they're bad and we're good, it's that they're catering to a certain audience and we're catering to a different audience. And if you're our audience, if you identify with the kind of people that we like to work with, then we're probably a better fit. And if you don't, no harm, no foul.
And if you're not in a position to have that conversation, if you cannot state in this moment what is different between you and business B, business C, whoever it is that you're seeing out in the market, that's where you yourself are going to be in trouble. And that's the thing that's going to also push you to have those reactions that aren't necessary if you have truly clarified your positioning and you are comfortable and confident in who you are and the solution you're bringing to the table.
And if you need help with that, 90daypipeline.com/talk. See you there.